I'm watching this season of Stranger Things, and I honestly think it's some of the best television ever made.
People have been trying to bring down Netflix forever.
There's reasons why things make more money.
Life's party, life's always a party. Let's go, party.
How we doing, everyone? Life's Party. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah. Welcome back to the show. We're going to have a great one for you. As you can see from last week, if you watch our show on YouTube, though I do say that most of our listeners, I think they listen to the audio. I don't know if that's an insult to us because we have beautiful faces.
I mean, we are a podcast, so we appreciate however you listen.
That's true. So I kept my went to the movies alone trophy that Paul gave me on the last episode. I want to start this off, Paul, because a couple episodes ago, you brought up the story about how you got the movie posters.
Yes, very true.
And we have them all in there. We bought one of those movie cases where it lights up. Like when you walk into the movie theater, they have all the movie posters lit up. And we bought one because we're going to hopefully fill this setup with some of those posters. But I saw that you went to the movies and tried to pull the stunt again and get some more posters, and you were shut down.
I was shut down.
And you were pretty pissed off. There was a little rant on Snapchat of Paul angry that he didn't get any more posters.
It's an interesting idea because what happens here is I went the first time. I talked to a guy. It was late at night, and he was like, "Here, just take them all." He took all, gave me all
nice
15.
guy.
Very nice dude. Then I did it on the weekend, and I did it at like noon. It was very dead.
Same place?
Same place,
Well,
different person. It was a manager, and it was just very interesting because I said, "Hey, same idea." I was like, "Hey, I heard, I know you give out movie posters when you don't use them anymore. I wanted to see if there were any available."
That might have been your big mistake.
What?
I know you give out movie posters.
Well, no, that's the thing. It's like, I know you do this, so like I don't, want to be rude or like weird or anything, but it's like, I heard you give out movie posters, and she was like, "Yeah, we don't do that." She's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, like we don't do that actually."
No, you do that. I was here last week and I got them.
And that was the problem. Like, I just don't appreciate being lied to directly to my face. Where like I was like, "No, you're one of your employees did." Like I know.
Yeah,
you
now
know?
he's fired because of you.
But then it was funny because I went back to the movies like 2 or 3 days later. I ended up going to see another movie a couple of days later. So
you tried again?
Tried again. Because you got to keep trying. And I was like,
if
hey,
at first you don't succeed, try again.
So then I tried a different manager. It was a different manager. All three people were different. And I was like, "Hey, I heard you give out movie posters. I've done this before. I was wondering if you have any in the back available." And he's like, "Yeah, no problem. Let me go check." So I went to go check. He came out front and he was like, "Yeah, unfortunately, I really don't have any. I don't have anything new." And I was like, "Hey, I just want to ask, like, this is okay, right? Like, I know you guys, like, do you guys do this? This is okay that I ask. It's not a problem." He goes, "No, it's no problem at all. Like, we give them out all the time." So it's just funny how like 3 different people interact differently. We're like 2 were like, "No problem, absolutely." And then the one person who also a manager was like, "No," literally lied to me, was like, "We don't do that." So I just don't understand. So I'm going to keep trying because I think it all depends on the day you go, the time you go, if they're busy or not, if they're willing to talk to you or help you out.
I told you have to plan the visits to where it's like, okay, maybe this is around the time where this movie's going to be out of the box office. You can get a good poster.
Well, I saw that. That's the whole point. Like I went and then the woman denied me. I came back 3 days later and I saw different posters. So I was like, okay, like
maybe she took them.
Yeah, maybe she was like,
she's like, "No, those are mine."
Like that's what I just don't know. So it's only been AMC. I haven't tried Cinemark or Regal or anything. So there is a Cinemark close to me as well that I want to try. So hopefully next time I'll give you an update.
Thanks. I saw a hack on TikTok where these kids went to Panera when they were like closing, and you know how like with Wawa, because we're Jersey, Wawa, and like Grubhub, the Grubhub people will like come to Wawa and then they'll have like the orders on the rack.
Yeah.
And then they'll just grab the order and then they go deliver the Grubhub. Well, these kids went to Panera like late night and they go to that rack and there's like 30, 40 different orders that were never picked up by the Grubhub people. And the Panera workers just let them take all of the meals.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. But it makes sense. Like
it's
maybe
like it's been paid for. And the thing is, as long as you're not stealing it, like you look at the times, right? Like if you're there at night and it's like 8:00 at night and the timestamp says maybe 3 p.m. or like I don't know if they do say it. That's like, okay, clearly it's not getting picked up. But then like how old is the food? It's not warm or anything. You probably just reheat it.
I just thought it was funny.
No, that's awesome.
It's like we had Stas on, and he had one of his viral videos was when he went to Dunkin' Donuts, and then he asked to have the leftover donuts, and they gave, or what happened with that?
They said like they wouldn't give them to him.
Yeah, he
but
wouldn't
he's
get
like,
'em.
you just throw them out, and he's like, yeah, you're gonna throw these out, right? And the guy's like, yeah.
That's like
But
the
he-
movie poster.
It's just annoying. I'm like, just why? Like, there's no need to do this. just be nice.
All right, so let's get into what we're gonna do for this show this week. We got some hot takes, Paul. I will say we've done hot takes multiple times on the show. Well, a little more than multiple times.
Many times.
But these might be my favorite. Like for some reason, I found some good hot takes. They're very niche to what we talk about, entertainment world, and just living life to the fullest and sort of like what's trending in today's world. So I think these are really cool hot takes. I'm interested to get your. Okay, that was not gonna. I'm not picking Paul as my Pong partner because if you're listening on,
Not gonna lie, I'm a great Pong partner. I think Ryan just. He's not that great, and he's just trying to lift up his game.
I'm actually a very good Pong player. Well, you go by Paulie One Swish. You think are you more of a flip cup guy or a Pong?
I'm
player?
a flip cup guy by far. I think Pong is boring. I'll play if we're in a party setting. I'll play with you. We'll have a great time. But I'm gonna let you know, flip cup's my game. I'm the best at it. Come at me, Paulie One Swoosh. Just do it.
The problem with kids in today's world, and even when we were in high school when they play Pong, is that they fill up the cups with water. You can't play like that. You have to fill the cups up with beer.
Depends where you play.
I don't care if it's dirty.
If I'm playing outside, there's no shot.
If you're playing beer pong, you must fill the cups up with beer. That's the only way you can play beer pong. You won't catch me playing beer pong with water cups anymore.
That's stupid.
All right, so let's get into the hot takes. I'm excited to see everybody's input. Producer Drew, feel free to chime in whenever you want to.
God, it's like different. It's like a new season. I'm allowed to chime in now. What the hell's happened?
You've always chimed in.
That's true. First one. Apple Music is better than Spotify, Paul. Which one do you use? Do you believe in that hot take? Which one do you prefer to use?
I use Apple Music. I like Apple Music. I think I'm just an Apple person. I like MacBook. I like Mac, all the Mac products, Apple products.
You just want to keep it consistent.
Absolutely. That's what I try to do.
See, I keep Apple Music as well, but I looked up like who uses what more, and there was a report that was globally researched, and it said that Spotify users are 31% of the population.
I thought it would be higher.
15% for Apple Podcast. I mean, for Apple Music.
It's only 15%.
31% for Spotify, 15% for Apple. And I was looking up because I wanted to hop on and understand like what are the differences, and because the average person probably doesn't know. It said that Spotify has better quality. They're both $9.99 each, so it's not a price thing. That's for the individual package. But what I noticed and what might be good for us, because you're podcast listeners for us, for Apple Music, they have to go to a different app to listen to podcasts.
That's very true.
Spotify has that all in one. Now, I also don't know if Spotify, because I know Spotify has visuals. Like Joe Rogan Experience, you can listen now on Spotify, but it has a visual. I don't know if Apple Podcast has that. So maybe that's another advantage why people use Spotify over Apple Music. 31%. I didn't think it would be that big of a difference, but people are team Spotify. Not me and Paul, though.
No, Apple Music. Next one, Amazon Prime Video is better than Netflix. That's questionable. Netflix, I still believe, is at the top of the game in the streaming war. I think it's the original, just like Uber, right? Uber's always going to be better than Lyft. Netflix is going to be better than every streaming service. The problem is the competitors have gained a lot of momentum. Disney Plus is one of them. But Disney Plus also has Hulu, ESPN. They said they passed them in like overall subscribers, but they're count Disney, but they count, it was like Disney, Hulu, and ESPN. So I'm like, you're counting 3 platforms. It's not really fair. So Netflix, I still think, is the giant.
Is Disney strict on how many people can use it at once, like an account?
I think
like
it's Netflix like 5 to 7. It's like
I
crazy.
think Netflix is what, 3 people?
It depends on how much you pay.
Yes, yeah. So you have different amounts, tiers based on like, if you want, three people or 5. I think it's 5 people.
I think it's, if you do standard definition 480p, it's 1 user. 1080p, you get 2 to 3, and then if you do 4K, you can get 5.
Got it. There you go.
So the argument for Netflix on why people think Netflix is better than Amazon Prime is because of their Netflix originals, which we've talked about numerous times on the show. And then the argument for Amazon Prime is apparently they have a bigger catalog. So those are the key arguments from one another. Like you said with iPhones and how you use Apple Music, it's sort of the same thing with Amazon Prime. Like if you have a bunch of Amazon accessories, they find that most of the time you just stick with the Amazon Prime instead of switching over to Netflix, which makes sense. But I'm a Netflix guy like you. We always talk about how they're continuing to up their game and like maybe start their own original animation movies.
Yeah,
Or even get into the sports world. Like Amazon's already getting into the sports world.
Well, my thing is, if you have Amazon Prime, you have Amazon Prime Video. So I would like to see the demographic of how many of their users are actually utilizing the service.
So that's the thing, because people they were doing like comparisons between how many users or subscribers are on like each streaming platform.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, Amazon, I think, is like right next to Netflix or just below it, maybe a couple million. But it's not that fair because they're including everyone in the world who has Amazon Prime, which is like hundreds of millions of people.
But I think you still have to pay for like films or documentaries on Amazon, even if you have an Amazon Prime.
Yeah, you can still buy digital films.
You can buy, so you have like the streaming service, which is Amazon Prime Video, and then say you could if you do want to watch a film, you could search Amazon, and they might have a rent video option, just like iTunes would. Right? Like you can still go on iTunes and look at movies. You can search a movie that you want to watch, and you can have like a buy option or a rent option, and that'll be the same on Amazon. And then, but if it is available on Amazon Prime Video and you're a Prime member, it'll be included in your subscription.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm thinking like how many people are using it, because they did the same. They did the same thing with they had a music streaming service, and
they still do. Yeah,
it's not doing too well. And they also did
Amazon.
Yeah,
well, they have the Echo Dot, right?
Well, yeah, they have Amazon
Alexa
Music
too. They have Alexa. So you go, Alexa, play this.
It's from Amazon,
like Amazon Music.
Yeah, but most people will end up connecting Spotify to that, and then just using Spotify with their Echo Dot because it will just be compatible with it. And then they also had an Amazon Photos one, which I think is defunct now, where you could upload as many photos from your phone to the cloud as you wanted, as long as you're an Amazon Prime member. But I think the cost got a bit too much, and they had to shut that down.
Well, that was like the big thing on why people didn't like Netflix, is because they didn't think they were keeping up with like releasing movies at a faster pace. So, but I've seen Uncharted's already on Netflix. I feel like that was a quick turnover.
That was stupidly quick.
Turnover.
It was
but that's what I'm saying is like we don't expect that from a Netflix, because I brought this up in a previous episode where when I want to see if a movie's out in streaming services yet, Netflix isn't the first spot I go.
Takes
like I go,
a while.
HBO Max might have it before Netflix, so I always check there first. Or Amazon Prime Video, I'll go check there first. So Netflix isn't always the first one, but Uncharted was quick. I was surprised about that.
I was super surprised.
Did you watch that movie?
Yeah, I saw it in theaters. It was the
I'm
only.
gonna end up watching it on Netflix.
It was the only movie that I ever yelled at a family.
You yelled. Oh, that's the one you yelled at a family.
Yeah, there was a family behind me where I yelled to shut down. I was like,
"Shut it down!"
I was like, "It's ridiculous."
Shut it down.
It was just super loud. I've never yelled in a movie theater before. I will remember that experience for a long time. But talking about Netflix real quick, last thing is I finally was able to watch season 4 of Stranger Things.
What do you mean finally? I just have the time.
I just haven't had the time, man. I watched The Boys, which is actually on Amazon Prime.
The Boys.
Yeah, it's called The Boys. It's the only series I've ever watched on Amazon Prime Video. So like that's where another thing. Like I don't really watch stuff on Amazon Prime Video. I do if I ever can't find a movie. Like if I can't find it on Netflix, if it's not on Disney Plus, I will try Amazon and hopefully they might have it. And plus to Amazon is that they bought MGM a couple years, maybe like a year or two ago. So they have like all of the MGM catalog, which is a lot of like Turner Classic Movies. And
why don't I know MGM?
MGM.
You don't know MGM Studios?
MGM Sports.
It's the Tiger.
Yeah.
Or it's the Lion. Sorry. Damn, I'm an idiot. But it's the Lion who like
that's MGM.
MGM. Yeah. That was the very famous
This could
logo.
be stupid, but is that paired with like MGM Casino?
No.
Okay.
Happy coincidence.
Yeah, that'd be weird.
Small world.
Yeah, I think people have been trying to bring down Netflix forever. Like there's always like leaked like, oh, Netflix is going to make you pay more. They have increased their price, but I think Netflix is still going to be king.
And it is great. Like I'm watching this season of Stranger Things, and I honestly think it's some of the best television ever made. Like it is just top tier television. It is so freaking good like the camera quality, cinematic quality, characters, the storytelling is amazing. Like it's just I literally can't think of anything better. And that's where as I'm watching it, I'm like, this is just so good.
Now I'm gonna have to watch it.
That it's really believing, okay, like this is peak Netflix. And I think like
Stranger Things is a Netflix original, right?
correct.
It's probably their top.
I think it is.
What do you think is their top 3? I don't know. I don't have a
like
list
their
of
main
Netflix.
stuff when they first really came out, and David Harbour, who plays Hopper on the show, Chief Hopper.
Yeah.
Like he came out and was talking about the difference between them filming season 1 and filming season 4.
Budget?
Well, budget, everybody. He was like season 1, like nobody knew about them. He thought it was like his break, and then he realized he thought it was going to be like his big acting break, and then he realized that like nobody at Netflix really cared about the show. Like it was kind of like these two teens who were the Duffer Brothers who written and created the show were like kind of nobodies, and he was like, oh, like whatever, this will just be a fun side project. And then like season 4, he's like, you got Netflix like huge executives on the set, driving, flying down every day on private jets. Like this is like big stuff, and it's just he says, you know, how it grew was incredible, and they really are the top dog, I think, at Netflix. Where like when they first came out, Orange Was the New Black was like big. House of Cards.
That's not a Netflix. They're not Netflix original.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, that is.
House of Cards and Orange Is the New Black and Netflix.
Netflix,
but they end up on other platforms.
They might, yeah, but they
like
were
Orange Is the New Black. You can watch on like HBO and shit. I'm pretty sure
they're from Netflix.
That's wild.
And I know like Bridgerton is a Netflix original. That's really big.
So it just people go to Netflix, they reach out to Netflix, and they have, we have this script for this show. So are you interested?
Yeah. So Netflix is a production studio, just like any of the other major movie studios. So like Disney, Paramount, Sony, Warner Brothers, Universal. They're your big studios. And now Netflix has joined them as like a big studio where if you have a script idea or you're a writer, right? Like you write a script for a show, a movie, whatever, just like you would pitch it to Disney or just like you'd pitch it to Universal, you can pitch that idea to Netflix, and then Netflix can sign off and say, hey, we're creating this, and it comes from Netflix. Just like any other like NBC, ABC, like any of those TV networks, same idea. It's just coming from Netflix instead of them.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. You can watch it now, but you can purchase it for like Google Play Movies or Vudu or YouTube or Apple TV or Amazon Prime Video. But it's included with your subscription if you have Netflix.
Yeah. Narcos, Stranger Things, Peaky Blinders, Black Mirror.
It's a bunch of like big name
Crazy,
Netflix. Netflix really is.
I think that's like we're doing a segment after this, overrated, underrated. I think Netflix is shockingly underrated for their Netflix originals.
It's just incredible how big Netflix is, and it's insane that
because it's like most of these are like 2015, 2013 was House of Cards.
It's just building the catalog of stuff. Yeah,
dude.
But let's continue a little bit. I could go on this for days.
Next one is podcasts aren't worth listening to, Paul. That's a hot take someone had. Do you agree with it? I certainly don't.
No.
I think that's the only way you can really get authentic material, like people being authentic and being themselves. Like I am one of the top haters of just commercial, like ESPN, how everything's so like cookie cutter and no one's actually being themselves. That's why I watch this Pat McAfee. I talk about him, like him and Dave Portnoy. I always watch.
They're your two guys,
and like how they like engineer their entrepreneur and how they become creatives in this world. And that's the reason he started his show. He's like, I want to be authentic. I want to say shit that I can say while at the same time still talking to Joe Burrow, still talking to Tom Brady, having Aaron Rodgers on every day, once a week throughout the whole season. Like you get the authentic side. You don't like, oh, well, Aaron, how many touchdowns you go throw? It's like, it's more personable. Like you said with your comparison between becoming TikTok famous or Instagram famous, video comes better, and just being authentic is key. And podcasts bring that out in everybody.
Podcasts have really, explored a bunch of different niches. And I think it's really funny to look at where at a point, a lot of people would be on the radio and they would hate talk shows. They were like, oh, I hate talk shows, or I just want to listen to music. And you would keep scrolling until you found a song that you liked on the radio. And now with like Sirius XM and like,
well, most podcasts, go ahead.
No, but like all these podcasts are coming out, and it's like, you can explore a lot of topics, and that like specific topics that you enjoy from people in the field, or just like everyday people who really love that topic. And like us, like we like talking about living your life to the fullest. We like talking about movies or entertainment or partying or just living your life. And it's like, we're just two guys from Jersey. And it's like, if you want to hear our opinions, take it or leave it. And it's kind of cool to have that outlook and that venue to be able to do that. And then for people to be able to connect with people on that personal level, it just hasn't been done before and was always split by that mainstream media. So like having that vent outlet to even be able to do that is like incredible. And that's why like I think people like them and why they listen week to week.
And there's podcasts for every niche out there. Like if you like sports or you like fashion or you just like living life to the fullest, like there's a podcast for you out there that you can listen to. What?
Like Sporty.
Like Sporty. That's us right here. But people, there are podcasts like the higher end podcasts who get like the big podcast deals. It's like they also kind of partner with like Sirius XM. Like they can still have the show on both. But we talk about it all the time about how the birth of podcasting came during quarantine and how it just completely blew up. I don't remember if we got into it like right before COVID or were we after COVID?
We were during COVID.
No, but did we have a show and then it was like, okay, COVID's coming?
No, our show.
I thought we might have.
I think no, because I graduated college in 2020 and then we were kind of chilling. We had some nights we were drinking and then you came to me we were at the driving range.
Yeah.
And you were like, yo, you want to start a podcast? And then we started the podcast in July of 2020.
Huh. But yeah, podcasts I think are nice and you should listen to what you like. Next one.
Next one, we got Harry Styles is the best performer in current time.
This is a pretty hot take here. This is must be a big Harry Styles fan. I will say that I don't know if it's just my For You page.
He's all over the place.
But I see Harry Styles performing live in concerts all the time on my For You page on TikTok. Like every 10 minutes, there's Harry Styles on stage performing. Here's a video clip. Like, oh, here's a Harry Styles forgetting his mic on stage. Here's Harry Styles calling out his teacher. Like I have the whole Harry Styles. Am I just a Harry Styles fan? Or is he just everywhere on TikTok right now?
I think he's everywhere, man. I'm not going to lie, I'm not a huge Harry Styles fan. Like I don't know. I think, I'm not his target audience, but I would be interested in seeing him live. Like if I could freaking afford it, it's probably absurd, but I would be curious to see him perform live because from all the clips of all of his shows, he seems like such a great performer. Yeah. And I think what's really cool about him is his him interacting with his fans.
Yeah.
Like when people have signs, he'll read the sign or like, yo, my dad's on a date and I'll be like, where's your dad? And then he'll like go find him. Yeah. Like that's really cool. Or he's a big advocate and supporter of the LGBT community. Yeah. So like people will go there with signs, be like, oh yeah, can you out me to my mom? And he's like, what? And he's like looking at it. And he's like, so do you want me to do it?
And he's like, oh, my mom's in the 200.
Yeah, he's like, where's your mom?
Section.
And then they find her on the Jumbotron.
And they put a spotlight on her.
It's just crazy. And it really has changed. It makes it super personal. It makes you really like him. It's like, wow. And then I think his fans really rally around his genuineness.
He makes you feel like you're the only fan in the crowd. And when there's hundreds of thousands of people out there watching you, who's the best performer you've seen?
I've seen Taylor Swift perform. She's pretty awesome.
I remember you loved Bruno Mars.
Oddly, Bruno Mars was great.
I'm not a huge country guy, but Thomas Rhett was legit. I love Thomas Rhett live.
I saw Kenny Chesney live twice. He's awesome.
I'm seeing Post Malone next month. I'm excited for that. I've heard that he's like very good live. I'm excited.
Where
for
are you
Post
seeing
Malone.
him?
At Wells Fargo in Philly. Did you see Post Malone?
I'm seeing him at Prudential.
I'm probably gonna see him
Same
before
tour,
you.
yeah, same tour. But what's cool is I'm on the floor. I'm like 3 rows in.
Why did you get good tickets?
My buddy,
you're 3 rows.
His
in?
mom like works for like whatever. So we have like 10 of us going. We got face value tickets on the floor, and he's like, who wants to do it? I said, I'm never gonna get floor tickets this cheap, even though they're not cheap. I was like, I'm never getting floor tickets this cheap. I like Post Malone.
Yeah, I love Post
Let's
Malone.
just do it. So
I mean, I bought good tickets. Like I'm not in the upper deck. Like I'm lower.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm excited. I heard he's good live. So excited for Posty. Next one. The Oscars are boring, Paul. That's a hot take. I don't even know if it's a hot take because I think they are boring.
They're boring.
And what's crazy about it is I think when we watch the Oscars and we realize how boring it is, it's even worse for the actors and actresses and directors who are there. Once again, I talked to Pat McAfee, talked about how he went to the ESPYs one time. he just talks about his whole experience and how it was probably one of the worst nights of his life because everyone sits very close. They tell you when to clap. It's just like a weird vibe when you're there. And you sit there in this tiny little seat for X amount of hours. And he said it wasn't enjoyable by any means. So I can't imagine that it's fun for the people who go to the Oscars.
The Oscars on TV has become one of the most boring events to ever watch. It's a 3-hour long show that's just not entertaining. The topic of the movies are movies that people haven't seen or aren't interested in. The directors who they're calling or the actors, like people know them, but not for the roles that the movies that they're being nominated for are even like, there's just so much going on.
And there's no entertainment. It's like,
it's just boring.
The show starts. It's like a 10, 15 minute monologue. And then the rest is just like, oh, and the winner is, it's just all it is.
Yeah. So they try to liven it up.
The last Oscars was one to remember.
Which one? What
was it? Oscars? Will Smith.
Yeah,
Chris
I was
Rock.
going to say the Chris Rock, Will
that
Smith.
Was the
incident.
Oscars.
That was the Oscars.
Yeah. But those ratings were great, and it only happened because of that thing at the very end and like that moment. But that's not what the Oscars want to be known for. It was a terrible thing that happened at the event.
But then everyone was like, oh, they got so many views. Then that's why people were like, oh, the Oscars are so boring that people were bringing up conspiracy theories like, oh, do you think this was planned?
Yeah.
Because the Oscars are so boring, they're figuring out how do we get people engaged or watching it. Will Smith, go up there and smack Chris Rock. That's the only way.
I think you got to change it. We got to add some more life into it. Better hosts. Actually nominate movies that people have seen. Actually talk about pop culture a little bit. They've tried. They failed. They're just the people who create the show are not the audience. Like you need to get people who are the target audience and in today's movie industry to really start to change how that award show is made. Plus at the same time, there's so much different content you can find anywhere, right? Like YouTube, TikTok, like people who are creating media are pulling you in every direction. They're trying to grab your attention and at all times. So a show like that, where it's praising the wealthy, it's praising the famous, it's praising this like high culture. It's like people don't want to see that anymore. We're getting to a level where we're talking about podcasts. It's like you want to feel like the common man. Oh my God. Yeah. You want to be like in it. And by putting those people on a pedestal, it's separating you a lot further than you want, and then you just don't watch it. Like even me, I like movies. I didn't even watch the Oscars last year. Like I only know it because of Tom Hanks. Like we did the show.
Yeah,
I think
like
we recorded the show during the Oscars because we didn't even want to watch it. We're like, oh, we're gonna record an episode of the podcast. So
and then we got done, and then we saw what happened, and we were like, well, shit, we can't go back on and talk about it now.
Yeah.
But the Grammys are better than the Oscars because you have live performances.
You have music and stuff.
You're getting multiple concerts in a one show. And also with you saying with social media, you don't have to sit there and watch 3 hours of the Oscars. Like we missed the Oscars last year, which is 3.5 hour show, 3 hour show. But we know that we're going to get a snippet or a clip of the summary of the show in a minute video after we got done shooting an episode. So we knew that we were going to see all that we needed to see on Twitter or on Instagram. So we didn't have to watch the 3 hour show.
It's so interesting. Yeah. It's like, why even pay? Even like Jimmy Fallon, I remember a long time ago, like he was doing this monologue and he was talking about how a lot of people stop watching late night shows, but he's like, but they'll watch it at 8 a.m. on their toilet. Like they're like, no, they'll see this before they go to work on their toilet. And it's just like, that's how it is. Like you're going to check out the highlights.
Yeah.
Just like we've done with sports, you've moved to the real world of live events, award shows, all that kind of stuff.
Do you watch Jimmy Fallon anymore? I don't. I literally used to watch him in college every night. Now I can't remember the last time I watched an episode.
I haven't watched an episode. The problem is I don't have cable anymore. I took away my entire TV. Like I only have Netflix. I have the streaming services. And then if I do watch Fallon, it is on YouTube. I like watching the monologues. I like watching certain guests but even the games and stuff I've stopped kind of watching.
Yeah. Last thing on this is that you brought up how like the Oscars are praising the already wealthy and accomplished.
Yeah.
It makes me think of the Met Gala.
Same idea.
How that's like a fundraiser for an already rich, established art museum. I think it is. I'm not sure the background of it, but it's like, I'm not getting into it. But here we go. Next one.
Hot take from someone: Marvel movies are lacking imagination. So this is the big critique coming from a
Let's
lot
let
of
Paul go on this one.
well, a lot of high directors, right? They're like, oh, all the Marvel movies are the same, or the Marvel movies lack originality, and I disagree. I think they're super fun, they're super engaging, and what's really cool from a film perspective is that which makes them different is that they're trying to take like superhero movie isn't a genre. And they've kind of flipped that and said, okay, like we can make a superhero movie any genre we want. The Captain America films are political thrillers, most of them. You have like the Guardians of the Galaxy films are space operas. They're very Star Wars-esque. They're very opera-esque. So they're space operas. Then you have like the Ant-Man films. They're heist movies. They're specifically meant to be heist films. And then like you have all these different genres in them. And that was the whole point, right? Like even like Avengers Endgame, it's a time heist. It's a heist. Like at the end of the day, it's a heist movie, and it just but there's an added flair of superhero to it. So
And like Ant-Man has more of like a comedy,
it's
or like
it's
Spider-Man
comedy,
too.
yeah, those are comedies. Like there's a lot of comedy in there. There's the drama in there. There's the action in there. Yeah, so you have these. A lot of people say the Marvel formula. It's like you're going to have comedy, a little bit of it. You're going to have your main action. You're going to have your basic storyline. Yeah, but that's every movie ever. Everyone's always like, oh, but the story's the same. I'm like, dude, pick apart any movie. Pick apart any book you've ever read. Pick apart any story you've ever looked at. The story is basically the same. You start, you have a middle.
Like every rom-com's the same.
Like they're the same because that's how American storytelling is. That's what you like. So that's why they make them that way. So you know, Marvel definitely isn't lacking. What is this? Imagination. This is ridiculous. And they're going in so many different directions. They got Earth stories, Earthbound stories. They have space stories. They're going on this cosmic level. We're getting Black Panther 2, which is you're doing a big story on Black culture. And then we're also adding Namor in there. So that's like you're going to do Atlanteans and sea life and like there's so much different corners. They're doing a horror corner now. They're going to be bringing in Moon Knight. They just did Multiverse of Madness, which is like a horror film. That was Marvel's first horror movie. Sort of. It was like horror light. So they're going in that direction with those films. Like they're doing so much, and this saying and this hot take is ridiculous.
How much of Marvel movies go based off of the original comics? Not a lot.
It's a good amount, but it's obviously modernized.
Are majority of the characters from comics?
Correct.
Is there any that aren't? Do you know off the top of your head? Maybe
there's not many.
Was Ant-Man a comic?
Yeah. Ant-Man's an original Avenger, like in the comics. He's like part of the original.
But maybe like the Wasp, maybe wasn't. I don't know.
The Wasp is too. So like they're not like Marvel isn't going out and creating new superheroes.
Because they already have a catalog of
so
hundreds.
many. Like it doesn't make any sense. And at the end of the day, most people have already created something, right? So
does that person get credit?
Yeah. If you're an original creator, what's cool? Who is it?
I wonder if the original creator of Spider-Man is probably rich.
It's Stan Lee.
Stan Lee wrote comic books though.
Stan Lee wrote comics.
Yeah, but there's other people that help write comics. There's so many superhero comics out there.
I know.
Stan Lee just didn't do everything.
No, I know, but Stan Lee is the creator of Spider-Man.
Okay.
Like that's like Stan Lee is the creator of Spider-Man.
Who else has he created?
Fantastic Four, the X-Men.
He's what I'm saying is there's other people.
No, 100%. There was, the main Marvel creators
I didn't know Stan Lee
are Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, and there's another one. There's like three that are like the main superhero creators, like for Marvel in the 1960s. They were like the head guys. And then you have people over at DC who are creating, like, there's the original creator of Batman. I don't know his name, but I'm telling you there are. And then there are many Batman storylines throughout the course of the last 50 years that people have taken control of. You're like, oh, I wrote the X Batman line. And then you have 20 comics that are Batman during a certain time, and then he wrote those stories. There's probably an illustrator in there as well. He might have also illustrated. Like I know Stan Lee was also an illustrator. Steve Ditko was an illustrator. So like they helped create these characters. But yeah, Stan Lee, dude, is like the dude.
I didn't know Stan Lee created Spider-Man.
What did you think Stan Lee did?
I thought he was just like the
what do you,
the head of like Marvel.
No, he created the characters. Yeah.
He was pretty old, but I just thought in my head it just feels like superheroes have been around for so long. Like I think of like not the Hubba Bubba Gum, but you would have superhero cartoons on the back of that or in newspapers. Stan Lee just died, so I just thought I guess superheroes are newer. I guess you could say.
I mean, Spider-Man was created in the 60s.
Yeah, it's newer.
So,
next one is everyone should go on a cruise vacation at least once, Paul. I stand by this hot take. I don't know if you've ever been on a cruise, Paul, but it's a one-stop shop. You got shows every night, magician, comedians, musical shows. You can go play bingo at night. You can go to the bar, all inclusive. You can go lay out by the pool on top deck. You can get off the boat. You can go on an island. I mean, there's so much to do. It's an all-in-one stop shop for a vacation is a cruise. You got 24-hour ice cream, 24-hour pizza. I mean, they got a basketball court on the deck. It's everything you want in a vacation in one. I'm a big cruise advocate.
I like cruises. I've done one. I want to do another. I want to do a Disney cruise.
Oh.
I think that's
What are the reviews on Disney cruises? People love them?
People love. They're like the expensive cruises, but people love them. Yeah.
I love cruises how they have like daycares for children. Yeah. It's like you want to go out, parents? Here's a daycare on the cruise to go have some fun tonight. Wow. All right, next one, Paul.
American road trips are overrated.
Oh, you're probably heated on this because what people may not know is you wanted to. I don't know if you still want to. You wanted to get a bus, live in the bus, and travel worldwide.
It's very true.
World countrywide.
Yeah, world countrywide.
The magic school bus of Paul.
Yeah, so I really like the idea of traveling in a bus, or I've actually thought about it very recently to probably start smaller and start with a van. First.
Yeah, just do like van life
do
or something.
like a van first and then move into like, if I like it, the bus concept. But I was talking to this guy about when I was in Ireland that there's so much, everyone always wants to go abroad. That's like the idea, right? At least here in the US.
I want to go study abroad.
Like, oh, I want to go to Europe, or I want to go to Australia, or like, yeah, it's backpacking across Europe. That's the right. But in the States, there's just so much to do. There's so many different types of living in the United States, so many different types of national parks. I really like theme parks. I've talked about it where like I would like to take my van and travel and see national parks and see theme parks and see like roadside attractions and just visit like different cities across the US and explore the city for, a couple nights, go out, see the nightlife, see the sports arenas in the cities. Like that's what I would want to do. And it's becoming more and more of a reality when people are able to work from home or like, like if I could be able to figure out a system where I could work, on my computer 3 out of the 5 days a week, it's like, okay, cool. Like I can do a 5 days up in Boston and then come home and work. And then I could do 5 days in North Carolina or like that kind of thing.
Well, it's a good point because you talk about like everybody wants to go backpack in Europe or go plan XYZ. But if you really think about it, and we talked about it on the last episode where Ireland has 4 million people and they're like almost the same size as like Idaho or some shit. It's almost like you have different countries already around you. Like when you go to Boston, they speak different. They have a different culture. They have different landmarks. Like the United States is almost like a bunch of countries in one. So you can go on a bus and go travel and you get different experience. It almost feels like you're going to Ireland. I mean, they speak a different way. They eat different foods. Like even though they're in the same country as you, there's a different cultural life that you can see by just getting a van and going state to state.
Like I went to Texas for the first time and I felt like I was in a different place. I went to Texas in 2019 and I saw Dallas and Fort Worth. And I'm telling you, Fort Worth, Texas is like old school Texas.
Like you got like cowboy hats?
Old school, yeah. Cowboy hats, old school cowboy food, rodeos, honky tonks.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
I'm a big fan of a honky tonk.
I don't even know what a honky tonk is.
It's like a club.
Oh, I'm trying to get right in a honky tonk.
So, right, like I never knew that, and that's still in the same country that I live in. So there's so many different things you could do.
Yeah.
So I'm a big advocate for this, and they are not overrated. Go take them. Go see the country.
All right, let's do the last one, Paul.
Last one. Crocs are a must-have footwear item. Thoughts?
If you know me, follow me on Instagram. I hate Crocs.
You follow me on Instagram?
They're
Crocs?
the worst things of all time. And the fact that they're even like on the come up, like I can't stand going into a shoe store and there's literally a Crocs wall that I cannot stand. They have holes in the shoes. So if it rains, your sock just gets wet. I don't understand Crocs. I hate the whole sport mode thing. Or you have to, I got to run real quick. I got to put these in sport mode so that my heel's still locked in and I can run. I hate that. They're $25. They probably cost $3 to make. I'm not a Crocs guy. So this is a bad hot take.
I see the benefit to Crocs.
My brother has Crocs in the house and he's home from college. He's about to go off. And I had to go run out real quick. And the only shoes in my sight were his Crocs and were the same size. I went barefoot out. I was not wearing those Crocs. No shot.
You don't see the benefit to Crocs?
What are the benefits? They're comfy?
Super comfy. Say you're in the water, right? You need water shoes.
Yeah.
Boom, Crocs.
Who
perfect.
the hell goes swimming with Crocs?
A lot of people. You've been to a water park recently?
No, because there's Crocs there.
There's tons of Crocs at water parks. They're like really comfy. Like I said, waterproof. They help you protect you from like the rocks and stuff, or like just like you don't have to be barefoot around the water park. Nurses love them.
I get that.
I mean, your girlfriend, she's got Crocs.
She does. And then when she comes out with Crocs, I tell her to turn around. I'm not going anywhere in public if you're wearing Crocs.
I don't own them. I see the benefit to them. I've never put them on. So maybe that's something I got to test out and test the waters. Yeah. But I see the benefit.
I don't think you should test the waters. We actually have one more. Nike is the best sports brand. That's a hot take. I don't think that's a hot take, but it's on the list as a hot take. But I don't think it is. But I also think it varies per sport.
You don't think Nike's the best sports brand?
No, I do. I just worded that bad. I do think Nike's the best sports brand, but I also see where other brands are better for other sports. Like soccer, like Adidas is more of like a soccer brand. I mean, everybody just wants the brand recognition. Nike has always had that reputation of being the nicest sports brand. So that's why when you go shopping or you're at the mall or the outlets, Nike has the longest line.
I think overall, like athletic gear. So like if you're working out or like you're going running or like you're doing a basketball practice, right? Like if you need athletic stuff, I can see where Nike's your go-to. But if you're specifically brand, I think there's so many different options. Yeah. Like even
Nike golf gear is like top notch.
Oh, for sure.
But they don't have, for like a set, for apparel.
I think, dude, I'm telling you, I really love Under Armour stuff. Like Under Armour.
I can't do Under Armour.
Golf shirts, fire.
I hate Under Armour logo. I just can't get behind it. I gotta like the logo. I like the check.
You're wearing the check.
You're wearing the check.
I have the check.
You got a hat.
Yeah. So yeah, I just can't. You won't catch me in no Under Armour, no Crocs.
Okay.
All right, let's do a couple overrated or underrated, Paul. That's our next thing.
Yeah, I like this. Overrated, underrated. First one we got.
You pick one.
Lin-Manuel Miranda. Overrated or underrated? The man is underrated. He is blown up and he's like the dude, the guy, the legend of the musical.
Yeah.
And honestly, he should be because he is one of the most musically talented people I think we'll ever know. He's the modern day Andrew Lloyd Webber, if you know him, or in Disney terms, damn, I don't know what the frick. What's that guy's name? The guy who created all the Disney like songs during the Disney Renaissance. He's been working with him recently because Lin-Manuel Miranda is currently doing new music for The Little Mermaid, live action remake from Disney.
Is it safe to say that Lin-Manuel Miranda would be even more underrated if he never was part of his own material or content, if that makes sense? Like if he wasn't in Hamilton,
interesting, but
just wrote Hamilton, we might not even know who he is.
That's very true.
But that's what's crazy is that there are creators or writers or people or creative people out there who don't go into their own plays and are just as creative and like exceptional as Lin-Manuel Miranda, but you don't see them because they prefer to be in that back seat.
Yeah, but at the same time, a lot of people can only do one thing. Like if I'm a really good writer, then I'm a really good writer. Like there are fantastic writers in Hollywood creating musicals and TV shows and movies, right? They're writing, but could they be the star? Could they act in that movie? Like that's a whole nother skill.
Yeah, so I think that specifically is very underrated on his end.
So for him to be able to musically compose a musical like Hamilton, and he composed In the Heights, he wrote and composed those stories, and then he starred in them, which means his acting, dancing, and singing ability had to be at Broadway level.
Yeah.
So and then on top of it, his extra step is his creative juices with rapping, where he's like a very creative rapper. And it's just that has completely jumped him over the top as well, where he's created this like modern day clean rap that he's put in Disney films. Like Moana has, you have You're Welcome has like that huge creative verse or rap verse from Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And he's creating his like rap flair in a lot of modern day films. And it's like, that wasn't done before. That's a very new skill. So like he's changing so much. And even in the conversation of Hamilton, he brought, no matter how creative that musical is, and how wonderful it is, he changed a narrative where he was basically telling the story of old America through modern day America, right? It was like rich white men created America. We're telling the story with a diverse cast, with Hispanic and Latino and Black actors and actresses, and it's going to be a super diverse cast.
But it's also very genius because
it's amazing.
Because people like me, like I give really no fucks to go read a history book and figure out what Alexander Hamilton lived his life or how we became a country or whatnot. But Lin-Manuel was like creating this like very cool and like hip way to explain that history to me, where I'm getting entertained, but I'm also becoming knowledgeable. It's a genius idea.
It was just bringing that concept idea, bringing the light of these actors who might not be represented as well as they should be, and then giving them the ability and chance to perform and show their talent. So like he was changing narratives, and he was also creating this space for all these actors and actresses to come up, which is just amazing. So like there's so many things he did other than just the performing or writing or that creative aspect. So he's still stupidly underrated.
Super underrated. All right, next one. Child actors. Are they overrated or underrated? I will say that they're probably underrated.
It's hard to be.
They're like child actors. There's so many stories where they get taken advantage of, especially on the money side of it. Like I think that's pretty much what broke like the Olsen twins. Like they're like not even in communication with the people they did with Full House because they were just taken advantage of. And they're like manipulated to act a certain way and be on set for X amount of hours. Like they couldn't even live their childhood.
Well, we've talked about Nickelodeon with Jeanette.
Well, that's coming back to light.
Yeah.
Wait, what's his name?
Jeanette McGroarty.
Yeah.
She played Sam.
She
in,
just outed
iCarly.
like some people, I think.
So the whole idea was that like she had a very bad experience working on iCarly and Sam and Cat, and then even when she was young, like her mom, she came out. Her mom like took most of her money.
Yeah,
like
that's
she didn't get a lot of her money. And then
Dan Schneider.
With Dan Schneider. But Nickelodeon came out and like wanted to settle and wanted to give her like a bunch of money.
I saw it was like $500,000, like hush money, $500,000 to not say anything.
And she was like, "No, I don't want it."
Good for her. That's crazy.
So it allows her to come out and show those bad experiences of child actors. So I agree, it's really hard to be a child actor. To see what those kids probably go through on a day-to-day basis.
Who do you think the biggest stars when they were children and then became adults, like continued that stardom?
I know
like,
Ryan Gosling was like super big when he was a
Barrymore.
kid. Drew Barrymore's really big. Christian Bale, I know, started. He was on like Newsies. He did Newsies when he was a kid.
Kenan Thompson just got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Yeah.
He was like a kid
He's
star.
been around forever. He was on all that.
Yeah.
So like that's what's crazy about Kenan Thompson is he's done one thing his like entire career where he was a comedian doing a sketch comedy show on Nickelodeon, and then he upgraded to SNL, which all that was based on, which is so funny. And then Kenan Thompson obviously became a huge name on SNL. And
it's probably easier to be an actor and continue that reign rather than a musician. Because I saw like a trending video of Aaron Carter. You remember him?
No.
I can't think of a song he sings, but he was like a sort of like an old, like a Justin Bieber vibe. Like girls would go nuts for Aaron Carter. And like now we can't even get like 50 people to come to his shows. And there's a video. It's like so sad. But
I think being an artist, even like I'm thinking about Olivia Rodrigo right now, right? Like she at the top of his game. We talked about, or her game. We talked about Jack Harlow, top of his game, right? Even Justin Bieber. I think Justin Bieber has done an amazing job
staying relevant.
It's insane. I feel like he's always around. Where I've looked about like Jason Derulo, he's really come back to light, right? With TikTok, like Usher, or even
T-Pain.
Yeah, like T-Pain. Like, there's a lot of people for a really long time. You're like, when's the last time they actually released anything?
Or like, where's Akon?
Or like Justin Timberlake hasn't released an album in like probably 10 years. And then when he released his last album was 10 years prior. Like, there's these huge gaps for those artists.
Well, they get bored, I think. Like, how many number one top hits can you get before you're just numb to it?
Yeah, but isn't that your thing? Like, you want to be an artist. You want the world to see. You want to be performed. I saw Elvis.
Yeah, but you already have money and stuff. Like, there's no motivation.
Yeah, but is money your motivation? That's
no, it's not.
Like that. But that's the problem in all that stuff, right? Like, if an actor, if your motivation is to earn money, like, you're never gonna be the best actor. And the artist is the same thing. Like, I watched Elvis, the movie, and it was insane that he wasn't upset. Like, he liked money, clearly.
Yeah.
But he wasn't obsessed with money and like being like, his obsession was performing. He was addicted to it. Like, you see him, he was depressed when he left the stage. Like, he neglected his wife. He was like he got really angry. He was blowing up. Like, he wanted to be on stage. And when he was on stage, he was at his high. He was in a high. He was in a groove. Like, and then he was addicted to that feeling.
Yeah.
That was his addiction.
Kevin Hart says the same thing. Like, he has all the money in the world. He's doing blockbusters, but he says he needs to do stand-up comedy.
Like, that's
he needs to go
itch.
into comedy clubs and make real life people in front of him laugh. Like, he has to do it. So he said he'll never really give that up, doing like stadium tours or going in front of stage of people. Yeah, but people, they get numb to it. I know Post Malone came out. We talked about him earlier, where he was like, he wanted to make, because his newer album, he was getting a lot of heat because he's not putting out bangers. Like, it's more of like a sad, depressed album. And he's like, well, like, I just got tired of trying to be like the cookie cutter, like make bangers in the club. He's like, I want to make music that like how I felt at that time. And he said that he didn't even want to make music at one point during the album. So, I mean, we don't really we're not ones to talk about it because we're not living through it. But it is an interesting thing to watch play out with celebrities and how many number one hits they get. Last one, best-selling authors. Are they overrated or underrated? So I actually Googled because I was wondering, like, how much does an average director get per film, or like how much does an average author get per book or per story? And this has $25,000 is about the average for an author's book or story. And then the director is $250K to $2 million, which I don't think is fair. It's almost the same thing. People make movies based off of books, and book writers are getting fucked. They're just choosing the wrong medium.
Yeah, but if you can sell that movie, if you
Like,
can sell that
down,
story
you
to
can
a
double
movie,
down.
yeah. I mean, that's what J.K. Rowling did. That's what a lot of, if your book, I mean, right now, I don't know much about her, but Colleen Hoover. Have you seen this name?
I've seen this on TikTok. I mean, on Twitter. There was like a big problem.
The books are everywhere. Colleen Hoover is an author. She's been writing these novels. The girls are loving them. They're like the classic, read it on the beach, read it at the park, read it on the plane. Like, both of my sisters have read multiple of her books. I think my girlfriend's currently working through one of her books. Like, she's everywhere.
Yeah.
And I remember, I mean, there's a lot of authors that have kind of been through that. Like John Green at one point, I felt was everywhere. Dude, like John Green was everywhere. And oh my God, like, I think they go through phases, and it is interesting to see, like, okay, can we make any of her
Well, it's like Stephen King.
Yeah. Can we take her stories and make them films? Because I honestly bet you they would do really, really well financially. So, and it's just the medium. We talk about this might not be the best comparison, but like NBA to WNBA.
Yeah.
So, right, like, everyone talks about how WNBA stars don't get paid as much as NBA players. And then the counter argument is they don't bring in as much revenue. Like, you can pay the players more because they're bringing in more capital.
Yeah.
So then it's like, okay, you have the money to pay them. And I think you could say the same thing. It's like the movies bring in a lot of money. So then you could pay the actors, you could pay the directors, you could pay the talent more. Where with a book, if it's not bringing in that much money,
but it
you don't
still
know.
gives that like story great impact, like as a film would.
Agreed.
And I'm not a reader, but I understand that.
And you're still watching a basketball game. Right? Like,
I don't know about that comparison.
But there's reasons why things make more money. And it's just like, but as an author, you can double down. You can turn it into a best-selling, you could turn it into a movie. You could turn it into a TV show. You could sell it off. You could put it in a theme park. You know, like J.K. Rowling and freaking Doe.
You could do a play.
Yeah, you could make it into a play. You could make it into a musical. Like, there's all these different avenues you can make.
Commercial.
Like, I don't know about that one. But yeah, like there's a lot you can do. I want to keep going. Laser tag. This one's really good. Overrated or underrated? Laser tag. I'm 25 years
Is that
old.
the one you want to get to?
25 years old. I freaking love laser tag. I don't think it'll ever get old. I think laser tag is a perfect game, and
I
think
love
it's
laser tag
underrated.
too. But the problem is you got to play with the right people because they can cheat. Like, you'll have one asshole friend who just like does this and shoots himself
yeah.
and like commits suicide to his team,
or they hold the
yeah,
points.
they run and they're hot. Like, they'll run this way and they're right there, and I'll block my guard so you can't shoot it. But laser tag's fun. They incorporate laser tag in like Disney rides.
We need them more places. Like, I just need laser tag at my local supermarket, where you can put it in the back, add as a $5 add-on. I'll go get my my groceries, play a little laser tag, and then check out.
Yeah, it's almost like entering the metaverse in real life. But we're not gonna get into that. I hear Mr. Softy. I gotta go get it. So let's wrap up. No, I'm just kidding. What do you want to do? Another one?
No. Is there anything else really good?
Overrated, underrated. The Kardashian family rise.
I
think they're very underappreciated.
I'm impressed by them, let's say the least. Whether you like them or not, it's impressive to see their run and their wealth and their fame.
Well, we talk about staying relevant. Dave Portnoy talks about that all the time. That's why he started a podcast with TikTok kids, because he understands that TikTok's a big channel.
Did you see
I need
that?
Barstool to be exposed.
Did you see that video with him talking about how BFFs?
I watched that
created?
interview.
Oh, did you watch? Yeah,
with,
it's
with
just
David Dobrik's
guy.
Yeah, Nash.
Yeah, it was like staying relevant. Like, that's the thing. So Kardashians really have the X Games. I don't really like that stuff.
I don't know. I feel like they have to have a star. Like, if Shaun White or Tony Hawk's in the X Games,
Boom.
all right, that can create some headlines. But if it doesn't have a star that anybody knows, who really gives a fuck? I'm sorry. I don't think we have any skater
Fans? No.
fans.
Fireworks.
They're
Underrated.
Overrated.
Fireworks are the best thing.
Fireworks are so overrated.
Oh, they're so
dude.
great. Dude,
There's only so much you could do with fireworks.
No, but
yeah,
there's so much you can do with
no,
fireworks.
there's really not.
How many fireworks shows have you seen?
A lot.
And you think they're all the same?
Pretty much.
You're
There's
probably
like the
seeing
same
cheap
four
shows.
like designs. And,
No, they're getting creative. They're doing a lot of really good stuff.
all right, well, until I see that, I disagree.
All right, great. We did all of them.
Laser tag. We gotta talk about this.
Honestly, if this doesn't make you want to go to your local place, find some laser tag, and just have a blast, I don't know what will.
But before you do, like, subscribe, tell your friends about us. Give the video a like. We need it. Give us a good review over on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. 33% of population worldwide use Spotify over Apple Music. We appreciate you.
We'll see
enjoy
you
doing
later.
this.
As always.
Music, take us out. Peace. Later.